Renato asked himself why he changed course to confront Zenobia. He'd no idea. Sometimes he would just do things, and he could never figure out why he'd done them. Usually, they worked out. After all, he was a hero. The truth is, though, he wanted to see her, wasn't it? It had been a dozen years since Swordfu School. He'd followed every rumor about her, every scrap of news. Not that he still loved her. After all, she was his enemy. No, it was solely because, know your enemy. But it would be great to see her. Even if they faced off across sword points, as they'd done so many times at school. The world was a less interesting place without her. Odd that they never locked these things.
I hear black is the new dead.
You know, ore is pretty heavy to carry. You know what's not? A new sword. Didn't your mother tell you it's rude to stare? Snapped Renato, a little smug. Renato wasn't entirely sure how he was going to capture Zenobia. She'd be expecting him. And he didn't have Lapino to cook up a clever plan. Why was it again that he hadn't got the core? Maybe because the results tended to be disastrous. These streets were familiar. The Swordfu School was closed now, but he had been down that street 1,000 times. He knew that pub. He knew that alley. He knew the alley behind it much too well. No wonder Zenobia had chosen to invade this island herself.
fire? Yes, please.
Smashing things was fun.
Fresh meat.
Reynardo slinked through Zenobia's ship, making no sound at all. Where were her guards? Finally, he reached her bedroom. She was curled up on her bed. Oh, he'd forgotten how beautiful she was. How sleek, how soft. He tapped her on the shoulder with his sword. She vanished, and he noticed he couldn't move except his mouth. In fact, Sudi couldn't keep his mouth shut. He told Zenobia everything. Skyripper, the rebellion plans, even where the secret rebel base was, until he was hoarse. It was some kind of truth spell. A talky truth spell. She called her father by Farspeaker Toad and filled His Majesty in.
But why didn't he get the core?
Croaked the Farspeaker in something like His Majesty's croak. Because I missed you, darling. Reynardo grinned. He doesn't even know why, frowned Zenobia.
That makes no sense. It's a trap,
shouted the Emperor.
I'll meet you at the outpost, and I'll bring my interrogators.
If Reynardo came face to face with the Emperor, maybe he could assassinate him. But maybe it would be smarter and safer to turn Zenobia against her father.
What are you doing? Asked Zenobia. Did you ever wonder why the Emperor adopted you?
He asked her. She shook her head. He told her. His Majesty wanted to bring the lost gods back. They could make him an eater of souls, an immortal. But to seal his bargain with them, he needed a sacrifice. Someone who truly loved him. She was stunned.
Furious. You're lying. Under a truce spell? It's a trick. You can't prove that. Take me to the observatory, and I will. What kind of proof could you possibly have? She said as they landed on the Nexus. Your father ritually sacrificed a village. And he left witnesses? The scientists resurrected one. Well, it's not really alive, but it can talk. A true witness. She frowned. The dead can't lie. Well, I bet they could. They just don't have any reason to. She nodded grimly. You go on ahead. I don't want the Ravens to see me. Oh, this really didn't have much in the way of safety features, did it? I hoped his mother wasn't watching. What were these poles, exactly? Parking meters from the time of the lost gods? Or I could go that way, he thought. Thought Renato.
This chess was really awesome.
See what I did there? She caught up with him. Don't you think I'd know if my father wanted to invoke the Lost Gods? Would he tell you? No. Would you help him? No. I'd burn his books. Why'd he adopt a stray cat? You don't ask a thing like that. No. Not when there's no good answer, she said, her whiskers twitching.
Renato checked to make sure his sword was still working. Yep.
With all the secrets he revealed to the Emperor, the Ravens were probably heading for the secret base. Renato began to wonder if there would be anyone left to save, if Zenobia changed sides. No skateboarding, the sign said. Some people are just liable to explode if you upset them. Renato.
Sometimes, at home, he'd wave his sword around for hours.
The observatory was a burning hulk. Dead scientists and black feathers everywhere. The ravens had burned the reanimated witness to cinders. Renato was stunned. There goes my proof. These were scientists, not rebels, Zenobia said, upset. Why would he do this? I don't know. Let's go to the fleet and ask him. Yes. I'll meet you on the mountains. There's something I have to get first. But could he afford to meet her in the mountains? He'd given the Empire the location of the secret rebel base. They would need rescuing. Why was he going to meet up with her? Wasn't it more important to rescue the Rebel Council from the almost certain Imperial attack? Why was he in this war anyway? Was it really to fight the good fight, or did he just want to see her again? One of these days, Renato thought, I should really figure out my motives before I pounce. Nah. Was it true? Was he on this adventure just to see Zenobia again? The Imperial heir was not an easy cat to see. Well, she'd ignored all his Kwanzaa gifts. And on the other paw, trying to get a date by joining a war against your intended was, let's say, pretty optimistic. But on the back paw, thought Renato, yes, it sounded exactly like him. Good, I'm so glad we had this little chat, he told himself.
Say, how are you guys fixed for life insurance?
That was always a rush. Raven can't fly, thought Renato.
perfectly sure he'd find something useful in one of these things. There was an inscription. Praise the sun.
There were a lot of dead ravens along the side of the road. Someone had rampaged through here on a killing spree.
What had Zenobia gone to get? He had a chilling feeling. He could recognize her blade work in the wounds of the dead birds. Why had she killed them? Surely her father's soldiers were no threat to her. Bernardo's paws were getting numb. Calaveras really didn't want company, did he?
The road less traveled, thought Bernardo. How intriguing.
They seem to make everyone else harder to kill.
only he had some way to break the ice. Or convince it he was a friend.
Renato wondered idly if people who had built these poles had really, really long tentacles.
He reached the summit, expecting no one. But there she was, steaming, pacing.
I'm gonna kill him, she said. I'm gonna kill all his ravens, and then him, and then his family, and all their eggs and tadpoles. And then I'm gonna burn down their pond.
Did you go and get the Iblis stone?
Do you see all these ravens I killed? So much power!
Are you feeling normal? Because you seem a little bloodthirsty.
Yes, obviously it wants blood. Demons always want blood.
You really want power from a demonic rock?
You want the stone, don't you?
Not really.
Good. I'd rather not have to kill you.
He told her he loved her. That he wouldn't let the Iblis stone take her, even if he had to die for it. Well, he planned to tell her. Now didn't seem like the right time. She'd probably cool off in a bit. So he let her get in her ship and fly off.
He rushed back to the Farfarer and followed her, keeping a healthy distance.
Zenobia's ship was just visible through the clouds ahead. How could he reason with her? But he had to. The rebels were down for the count. No wonder. He'd betrayed the location of their base and then he'd abandoned them. And if she became Empress while she was in the grip of the Iblis stone, if she became Empress by murdering her father, she could still be a great Empress. But she could also be a nightmare Empress.
She had to be stopped.
There were more dead ravens along his path, some of them wounded in the back. He knew she could have easily talked her way past them, or clouded the little tiny raven brains with a spell. She was going out of her way to kill everything in her path. This wasn't Zenobia, not as he knew her.
Hey! Hey, a workbench! He could try out his new bling. He wasn't that good. Yet. This must be that sufficiently advanced technology they always talked about. It was definitely easier to fight inanimate objects. Hoped his hook didn't break. Burned fur. His.
Building these platforms was so expensive, they'd run out of budget for guardrails. For some reason, Ronaldo remembered a fairy tale his mother had told him about a land where only the